Hi, this is Dave Hammer. Today we're going to talk about building the Cricut air hammer. All videos and pamphlets produced by David Hammer are copyright protected. The Cricut videos are available on YouTube for free viewing at this time. I do not give permission for the content to be downloaded nor used for any commercial gain. Metalworking projects require the use of shop equipment. Please exercise caution when using machines. These videos are offered without accepting any liability for your experiences. Your safety is your sole responsibility. I believe if you can weld, have reasonable fabrication skills, can scrounge materials, and have access to fairly basic metalworking machines, you can build some version of this hammer. Your cost will be determined by how good you are at finding materials to build a frame and assemblies, and how diligent you are when you shop for air circuit components. The original Cricut is the size and shape it is because those are the materials I had on hand. You may have heavier or lighter materials for your project. I would recommend the base be a very heavy piece of plate to give your hammer stability. Also, the tower must be cold rolled or milled to ensure dimensional integrity. This video is the first in a series that provides information about how the original Cricut utility air hammer was built. This episode covers the assembly of the frame, which includes the base, the anvil, and the tower. In some instances, you will see holes already in the components where I am telling you to drill holes. This is because I disassembled a working hammer and used some of its parts to make this video. I used 17 inches of 4x4 solid square bar for the anvil. The base was 9 by 12.5 by 2.5 plate. The tower is 36 inches of 1 3/4 by 1 3/4 cold rolled solid bar. This is a look at the frame without the bracketing. The frame is held together with simple angle iron brackets. Making brackets may seem like a no-brainer, but getting all the holes aligned can be a challenge. Some may have a tendency just to weld all this together. Please watch all the videos. I use many of these bolts for other bracketing. If your base is small like mine is, find a couple pieces of heavy angle iron and cut them so they can be added to the side as stabilizers. Drill and tap into the base to accommodate these. Later when you build a wood base, you'll need to take this additional dimension into consideration. The smaller anvil brackets are made from 2 pieces, 1 3/4 long of 2x2 by 1/4 angle iron. The heavier anvil brackets were made from 1/2 inch thick angle iron. The tower brackets were made from 2x2 by 1/4 inch angle iron, just 1/4 inch shorter than the length of the anvil. It's extremely important to ensure that the brackets are square. That one's not square, so I bring out the persuader and it takes just a couple whacks to bring it into square. I use a big bandsaw to cut this to the width that I wanted on this side. If you don't have one, a porta-band or a zip disc could be used for this. I use a belt sander to round the corners and soften the edges on these type of parts. It's for aesthetics only. Do this with all parts, large and small. When I have a bracket going into the corner of angle iron, I round the side so it'll fit closely into the corner. This may not make sense yet, but you'll see in a second. This small anvil bracket slides into the corner, into the inside corner of the tower bracket. You can see the anvil on the left. Mark the positions for drilling pilot holes for bolts on the heavy anvil brackets. Basically, it's just in the center of each plane. I couldn't get a drill in to drill that pilot hole, so I had to mark it on the other side. And drill both pilot holes in each bracket. Take the brackets back to the anvil, set them up against the anvil, and transfer the pilot hole position onto the anvil using the hand drill. Do this for both brackets. Take the brackets back to the drill press and drill out all the holes to 3/8 of an inch. Drill and tap 3/8 inch holes in the anvil for the heavy brackets. Next, we're going to mark the position the anvil will sit on the base. Placement is somewhat arbitrary, but consider the brackets and favor the lower left side of this base. The distances that I decided on for the original Cricut are as shown. Move the anvil back onto the base in the position you selected. Takes a bit to line it up. And ensure that there's room for the tower off the back corner. Bolt the large brackets to the anvil. Ensure that the anvil is square with the base. This is important. I used a transfer punch to transfer the bolt hole positions to the base. A transfer punch is essentially a center punch with automatic centering. After that's done, remove the anvil and drill and tap for 3/8 bolts. Bolt the anvil assembly in place to check the bolt alignment. Next, we're going to work on the tower brackets. Assign each tower bracket to a position on the assembly and clearly mark those assignments. I'd actually recommend that those be permanent markings, stamped. Next, we'll mark the positions on the tower brackets where the bolts will be used to fasten the tower to the anvil. These are the bolt positions that I decided on. Mark both tower brackets for the hole positions. The holes go down the center of the inside. Next, drill pilot holes. I like to use 1/8 inch in this kind of situation in the tower brackets. Next, we're going to work on the small anvil brackets. This is where that side of the small bracket that I rounded the whole side comes into play. See, it fits in the corner there. Clamp that in on the anvil side and transfer the position of the hole from the tower bracket to the back of the anvil bracket. You can see evidence of that transfer here. This will be drilled from the back. Next, mark the position of the other pilot hole where the bracket is going to be attached to the base. Drill the pilot holes in both brackets. And then drill them out to 3/8 inch holes. Next, clamp the tower brackets to the tower. Be sure to position the tower brackets correctly based on the marks you previously made. C-clamps or vice grips work good for this. Transfer the positions of the pilot holes to the tower with a hand drill. Then mark those holes. Drill those holes out to 3/8 of an inch. Drill and tap the holes on the tower an inch deep for 3/8" bolts. Next, bolt the tower brackets to the tower, both sides. Place the tower in place and clamp it. You can use this kind of clamp or a strap clamp of some kind. An important thing, though, is to get the alignment proper. Note the dotted lines. Transfer all the pilot hole positions to the anvil. Drill the pilot holes on the tower brackets out to 3/8. Drill and tap all the holes in the anvil for 3/8" bolts. Blow out chips every time you tap holes. Be careful for flying chips, though. Bolt the tower assembly to the anvil. My fingers will get sore doing this. Oops, I need to remove those bottom bolts. The brackets for the anvil use those lower bolt holes. So bolt on the smaller brackets. I put the bolts on loosely first, and then after they're all in, I check alignment and then snug up all the bolts. We use a transfer punch again to mark the positions for the holes in the base for the small anvil brackets. Next, we move the anvil tower assembly off of the base, drill and tap 3/8" holes for the small anvil brackets, and bolt the anvil tower assembly back onto the base. This completes the construction of the frame. The table will be added later. This is Dave Hammer. Thanks for watching.